Today I'm giving you an update on where we stand with our capital campaign project. And you'll see that this first slide that I'm showing you is kind of the end. I'm starting with the end, showing where we stand today. And on the slide you'll see that the association approved estimate was for $6.75 million. The actual building cost was $133 over that amount. And the current amount donated $5,491,016 with a current loan balance as of February of $1,469,948. And so as we look at that, obviously there's a challenge going forward to get that paid off by September of 2021, and pledges are still being fulfilled as we move forward to get that paid off. And so I share that with you today, I guess, to ask the question of, is this all worth it? And this is a question that really hit home with me over the last 12 months. I know that for many of us, the last year has been a challenge. It's been very stressful for you in your lives. It's been stressful here at Central for our teachers and for all our families. There have been a lot of unknowns. And this question is one that me personally, I had to face and ask myself. That question came to mind when I found out that I had a rare form of lung cancer in June. Up until that time, I had been told all along by doctors and nurses and specialists that my lung issues were really no big deal and that there's no way I could have lung cancer. But after I was recovering from surgery and I was in the hospital reading through things, this next slide here shows you the words that I read. And I know it's difficult for you to see. They're up at the top of the screen, so I kind of blew it up there underneath. It says, overall, these results likely predict a rapid disease progression and a poor treatment outcome. And really, that hit me like a ton of bricks while I was in my hospital bed. Because all along, I had been told this is no big deal. And even though it was cancer, it wasn't something to be concerned about. And then I was confronted with death. And right then and there is when I knew that I was going to die. I guess some people maybe have had that feeling before where it's like, well, I think I might die or something. No, I knew it. I knew I was going to die. And I knew that it was going to happen and probably happen soon. It's something that hit me hard. It hit my family very hard. It was something that we had to mourn through. And so I tell people a lot, you know, we've kind of already mourned my death because we have. We're done with that part. And I'm sure that should my health change for the worse, I'm sure that there will be other things that come up that cause grief. But that stopped me. It hit me like a ton of bricks. And it really made me think. And as I began my chemotherapy treatments, I really was faced with a lot of discomfort and a lot of problems through chemotherapy, to the point where every single time that I had chemotherapy, I would ask myself, is this worth it? Once again, I felt in my body, I knew that I was dying. And so I would say to my wife, I would ask her, is it worth it? If I know that this is going to kill me, if I know that this is the result, is it worth going through all of this? And I spent a lot of time wrestling with that. Again, it was kind of a grieving process. I had to work through it all, but then I did get to the answer, and the answer that you see on this slide is yes. I think of Philippians 1:21, for me to live is Christ and to die is gain. And that verse and that conclusion is something that I guess you could say that it took this event, it took cancer and the treatments to get me to understand fully my vocation, my calling. My calling is to share Jesus with children and families. Some might say, well, if to die is gain, then why fight against your cancer? How can you truly say it's worth a fight? Well, because my encounter and facing my own death made me realize how important it is that everyone hear about Jesus Christ. And when I say that, I'm not saying I want to tell about Jesus to some people. I'm saying everyone needs to hear about Jesus. I felt a greater urgency than ever in sharing the gospel message with families that are here at Central, with our community, with New Haven and Fort Wayne. This is the part of the world where the Lord has put me. And I may not be able to go and spread the gospel to a large audience or be able to tell people in other lands of who Jesus is and what he has done. But I can do that here in New Haven and in Fort Wayne. The world needs the gospel. I'm a desperate man when it comes to this. I want to see you. I want to see your children. I want to see the people of New Haven. I want to see the people of Fort Wayne. I want to see all of my family members in heaven. I want us all there. And it's kind of a paradox to think that the thing that makes life worth living is what is worth dying for. And I say it that way because you have to understand, I'm really grateful for all my coworkers. They're great people. When you work with a lot of ladies, sometimes they can kind of take a somewhat of a motherly tone. And so there's a lot of concern. When I came back, I had a lot of people who they were just very worried about me in the face of COVID. I had people who encouraged me to stay home and to not return this school year. There's been a lot of care and compassion shown to my whole family. For that, I'm eternally grateful. And let me tell you, COVID is kind of tailor-made to kill someone like me. When you look at all of the comorbidities that it tends to hit, that's me. And then you throw in cancer and lung cancer at that. I can understand the concern, and I'm very grateful and thankful for their concern. But let me tell you, if there's anything worth risking your life over, as moderate of a risk as it is, it's this. It is worth the risk of telling people about Jesus. That is worth dying for. If it's worth fighting for life and fighting for my life, then it is worth dying for. And so now my question to you as the Association of Central Lutheran School, my question to you is the same. Is the ministry at Central Lutheran School worth it? And my answer to you this day, as clear as day, is yes. It is worth our time. It is worth our talents and abilities. It is worth our financial support. It is worth sacrifice. I want to share with you 3 stories of 3 people that demonstrate what Central Lutheran does and why we do it. The first one is Edna Hockemeyer. Edna lived nearly 90 years, and throughout her life, Lutheran education, and Central Lutheran School in particular, was important to her. She gave what she could financially and in terms of her time and talents, with one goal in mind: that children and families would come to know Jesus Christ. Did she even know the impact that she had? I don't know. I don't know if any of us can know. But we do know that 2 of Edna's daughters became Lutheran school teachers, teaching here at Central. And even Edna's grandchildren became Lutheran teachers. She volunteered many hours here at Central at different events. She would work on costumes for the operetta, and she would always be in attendance in the front row to watch the operetta and support her school. In Edna's life, the ministry of Central Lutheran School was worth it. The next person that you see up here is Logan Bauer. Logan was a student here at Central Lutheran School. His life here on earth was cut short. But we know with full confidence that Logan knew Jesus. He heard about Jesus every day here at Central Lutheran School. When death takes someone young, we protest. It isn't right. It's an injustice. And in many cases, we can become alarmed and think, did we do everything that we could? I've had other former students of mine who died young, and I'm always racked with those questions. Did I do enough? Did they know how much I loved them? But more importantly, did they know Jesus loved them? Is there any way I could have helped? And those questions haunt me. But I can tell you this, in Logan's case, I know that Logan knew Jesus. He shared that with his friends, and his friends have shared that with the rest of us, with his family, and with the staff here at Central and at Emmanuel both, to say that Logan often shared with them Jesus. He told them about Jesus. He learned that here at Central Lutheran School. And so in that knowledge, I find peace and rest. Is CLS worth it? Oh yeah, definitely. Because we don't know how long we have with our children. Those days and hours aren't promised to us. The children that God has entrusted to us need to know Jesus. And so surrounding them in a Christ-centered environment is a priority. Because whether they're here for 1 year or for 12 years, we know that here at Central Lutheran, they will hear about Jesus. And that gospel message changes lives. On the screen you see that from 2019-20, so the last school year, to the 2020-21 school year, from last year to this year, we had a drop of roughly 50 students from preschool through 8th grade. And this is one of those students. Due to concerns about COVID, her family chose to do remote learning through East Allen County Schools this year. This young lady was with us for only 2 years, for 3rd and 4th grade. In 3rd grade, she was taught by Miss Hockemeyer. So once again, we see that connection that Edna had to some of our students. In that year, this girl was called to the waters of baptism. In 4th grade, I was observing her class while she gave a getting to know you speech at the beginning of the year. And the item that she chose to present to her class was a prayer chest. She explained how she was baptized the previous school year and how her baptism and this gift, which was a symbol of that baptism, were the most important things in her life. A 4th grader being able to say that, man, that's an amazing thing to think about. So I know that this young girl came to know Jesus through the work the Lord does at Central Lutheran School. She heard the gospel here. Now she's gone. I don't know if she'll be coming back again next year or not. But I do know that even though she was here for 2 years, her life was changed. And her life was changed forever. Since our building project has begun, we've had 6 people who have come to learn about Jesus through Central Lutheran School who otherwise were not connected to any churches and were called to the waters of baptism. And we would love to see more. This is the urgency of which I speak. Isaiah 6:8 describes the call of Isaiah the prophet. And I heard the voice of the Lord saying, "Whom shall I send, and who will go for us?" Then I said, "Here am I, send me." Your teachers at Central Lutheran School have answered that call in a similar way. To the faculty and staff here at Central, thank you for answering that call. Thank you for bravely facing the unknown this last school year in the face of COVID, in the face of all the questions and uncertainty, with full confidence, knowing that your Savior leads you on. Your example each year shines to our whole community. I think this last year it's been even more poignant and noteworthy. If we think back to a year ago, we had no idea what we were about to face. At our last association meeting, which was held March 1st of 2020, we were simply talking about the things that were going to happen in the next year. We were going over the usual business, so to speak. 12 days later, our lives all changed forever. Instead of licking our wounds and looking backward at the trials we have faced, I challenge us all to look forward. I want you to think about what is to come. Think about what could be. Think about what could be here at Central Lutheran School. The Thankful for Our Heritage, Committed to Our Future campaign provides us with a great snapshot of what I'm talking about. There are many things that we knew going into this building project. For example, we knew that building a new gym would allow us to have athletic practices that wouldn't have to go until 9 p.m. because we could split the gym up, or we could use both gyms. We knew that we could host more sporting events. We knew that we could host wrestling meets for the first time in recent years. And we knew that the operetta and the Christmas concert would have more seating. We could have more people attend. But there was a lot we didn't know. What we didn't know at the time was that our students would find other ways to serve and other ways to use their gifts. Under the direction of Mr. Bolt and Mr. Kramer, a group of students has begun a program of live streaming CLS events, including interviews and other professional-looking aspects interspersed with the live game action. While the second and third grade operetta has long been a staple of the Central Lutheran experience, only once the gym and the Springer family stage was built did we realize the opportunities available for older students. Under the direction of Mrs. Raywald, our junior high performed a one-act play in the spring of 2018. From here, she began planning for a full-scale musical production. In November of 2018, Central Lutheran performed Meredith Wilson's The Music Man. The cast consisted of 6th through 8th grade students as well as 4 of our association pastors. But the story does not end there. In October of 2019, Central performed Peter Pan, and student involvement doubled as students helped construct the set and served as stage managers. Others ran the soundboard and lighting, and still other students used computers and video editing software to create various scenes that were projected on the screen during the performance. Through the blessing of this gym and the Springer family stage, students are taking math, science, art, and drama skills and putting them to practical use in leading these productions. Another example is in our activity room. This is a large, colorful room that is located near the entrance of the Narwhal Early Childhood Center, a wing of the central building that was added through our campaign. In our planning stages, we envisioned a room that could be used for indoor recess-type activities. However, this room has allowed for much more. What we didn't know is that our preschool could use this also for Minds in Motion, a research-based curriculum that guides students through fine and gross motor movements, including activities to cross the midline of the body, improve core strength, and train eye focus. Again, The story doesn't end there. Thanks to a generous donation from a CLS donor, we were able to add an art teacher who uses this space 2 days a week to teach art lessons K through 8. Mrs. Coulter brings a wealth of knowledge to her position and challenges students to be creative and use skills and gifts that often go underused in other subject areas. The activity room has also become the go-to meeting space for faculty and staff meetings and school board meetings. This year, the activity room has been used by our Chargers Beyond the Bell Before School program. Truly, this room has been very busy with activity every day, far beyond what we could have imagined when we started our campaign years ago. Another one of the blessings that we have received from this campaign is our preschool playground. The playground, of course, has served its intended purpose, but it has done more. Mrs. Bolt, one of our preschool teachers, saw an opportunity for taking instruction outside. At the edge of the preschool playground, Mrs. Bolt planted a butterfly garden, and it worked. All CLS classes were able to observe the life cycle of the butterfly thanks to this garden. But the story does not end there. Inspired to create more hands-on outdoor experiences for their students, Mrs. White and Mrs. Ernest collaborated on a grant, and thanks to a generous donor, the first grade classes were able to build garden beds in the space created by the Thankful for Our Heritage Committed to Our Future building project. By November of 2019, first grade families were able to enjoy their first crop of lettuce. So, what is next? What else is the Lord doing at CLS, now and in the future? One could look at this building project and simply think of debt. But do not lose sight of what is happening at Central Lutheran School. Let us be determined and purposeful in retiring this debt, not for negative reasons, not with grumbling, but instead let us do it rejoicing, joyful for the opportunities which this project has provided, gladly retiring this debt so that we can move on to what else the Lord is going to do at Central Lutheran School. Now, as you can see, our anticipated balance as of September 2021, after all of the campaign pledges are fulfilled, is $1.2 million. That would be the amount that would need to be refinanced into a conventional loan. But I pray and I know that we can knock that down. I ask you to do 3 things. I ask you to pray for Central Lutheran School. Pray for the families and students. Pray for the teachers, the staff members, the board members, for all of us. Pray for the community of New Haven and Fort Wayne. Pray continually so that we can share Jesus with those families. And then the second thing would be to brainstorm ways that we can share the story. How can we share this gospel? Who needs to hear about Jesus? Well, we all do. But certainly you must know some people who would benefit from being here at Central Lutheran School. Perhaps you have co-workers, family, neighbors, or friends who have school-age children. Maybe you have ideas about programs that you would like to see CLS offer. Maybe you have talents that you can use to volunteer. I would urge you and ask you to please reach out to me and let me know those thoughts and those ideas. We cannot do all things, but I would like to see us reach out to as many people as we can. And that means doing some new things in new ways. And finally, we ask you to give to the campaign. Give as a response for all the great things the Lord is doing. Give in thanksgiving to the Lord who has entrusted us with this ministry. There are many, many ways to give. You can give a one-time gift. You could give monthly. You could do a monthly withdrawal. You could do gifts of grain or stock. Some of you might be in that age range where you have to take required minimum distributions out of accounts. And if so, there are some significant tax benefits for donating that to a nonprofit such as Central Lutheran. So again, reach out and ask. Let's talk. Let's figure out what ways you can give. You might say, I can't give, my contribution would be too small, but there is no small contribution. I understand that a number like 1.2 million looks very daunting. And I know that what I'm asking is not an easy thing. I'm asking for sacrifice. But I'm telling you, we can do this. Recently, the Lutheran Church Extension Fund published an article about a church in Colorado who held a debt of $1.3 million. Very similar to what we're looking at here. The following quote is from the article. "The campaign has put us in a position of strength financially," explained Pastor Schlecht. "We had set a goal of $1.3 million, which seemed to be far beyond our reach. And yet, by the grace of God, his people at Emmanuel saw the need, recognized the benefits, and stepped up to the challenge. To everyone's surprise, they reached their goal." Listen to this very carefully. "We did not have any six-figure gifts. It was everyone praying about and sacrificing what they could, and all our small gifts added up to exactly what was needed." We have local examples of that happening already. One student saw the thermometers that we have out in the parking lot here at school, and the next day brought in money from their piggy bank. Another student reached out to me and volunteered to give money that he had been saving. It takes faithful, joyful sacrifice. And beyond that, in your association packets, you saw a letter from St. Paul Gar Creek. Through the use of funds that were held there at the church, they challenged members to see if they could match it. And in the end, St. Paul was able to donate over $140,000 to the building fund, to this campaign. Is it worth it? Yes. It is worth it for the sake of those whose lifetime of sacrifice and work was simply to bring the gospel to the people. It is worth it for the sake of those who spend years here at CLS only to be called home too young. It is worth it for the sake of those that only grace our halls for a brief moment and yet have their lives changed for eternity. In the coming days and weeks, you will be contacted by campaign committee members asking for a donation and perhaps asking you to volunteer your time and talents. Please prayerfully consider what you are able to give and contact us here at the school. We thank you for your support so far. And now, let us finish this task before us with joy and with thanksgiving.